All right, let's take a look at letter A of the Chapter 13 review worksheet. You were supposed to underline all the adjectives, including articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, and then draw an arrow to the noun that each adjective describes. So if you looked for the nouns first, then it's helpful to go back and see if there are any adjectives describing those nouns. So in sentence 1, the and 19th describe century, and many and American describes settlers. Number 2, some describes pioneers, 1,500 describes miles. Number 3, this difficulty describes journey, severe describes sickness. Number 4, heavy describes furniture, unnecessary and household describe items. Number 5, most describes pioneers, these describe risks, A and new describe life. Number 6, those and hardy describe Americans, the prosperous Western describe United States. So you can pause the video anytime you need to take a little bit more time to look those over. Part B, you had to underline the adverbs and then draw an arrow to the word that each adverb describes. Often and slowly described moved in number 7. Frequently describes needed in number 8. Carefully describes tasted in number 9. Sometimes describes floated, and away describes floated in number 10. And soon describes learned in number 11. And then part C, you were supposed to label the sentence pattern and then write the diagram on the lines provided. So for number 12, families is the subject, had is the verb, and Bible is the direct object. So families gets diagrammed on the left as the subject, had on the right as the verb, and then Bible as the direct object. Pioneer describes families, usually describes had, and a family describes Bible. Number 13, Bibles was the subject, contained was the verb, and records was the direct object. And then when you diagrammed it, these should have been diagrammed under Bibles as an adjective, these Bibles, and then family under records. What kind of records? Family records. Then number 14, reading was the subject, was the linking verb, important was the predicate adjective, and then Bible got diagrammed under reading. What kind of reading? Bible reading. Bible wasn't the subject. Reading was the subject. Bible was being used as an adjective in that sentence. I know it gets tricky sometimes to figure these out. So you just have to ask yourself, who or what is the sentence about? Would it make sense to say that reading was important? Yeah, that's the subject, isn't it? And then very is the adverb describing important, because important is the predicate adjective. Very is an adverb describing important. How important? Very important. Okay, let's go to the second page. You had to write the ER and the EST forms for each of these words. Make sure that you spelled them correctly. You should have you should have dropped the Y and added ER and EST to prettier. You should have doubled the G for bigger and biggest, dropped the E for later and latest, and then just added ER and EST for colder and coldest. And then E, you had to underline the correct adjective or adverb. Number 19, smaller, 20, most unusual, 21, well, 22, cooler, 23, skillfully. And then the last part, it's that tricky part. In sentence 24, and was connecting a series of words. houses, clothing, and food. So you should have circled and underlined houses, clothing, and food, and that was a series. Number 25, you should have circled the connecting word but, and it was connecting two sentences, because if you take that word out, you have two separate sentences. Settlers in early towns sometimes own shops. They might farm land also. So if we didn't have that connecting word, we could have had two separate sentences. And then 26, the connecting word was and it connected two predicates. The subject was children. What did the children do? They attended and they did chores. So it's two predicates. Attended a one-room schoolhouse, did chores at home. And then number 27, the connecting word was and. It's connecting animals and farms, and those are the subjects. Animals were necessities, farms were necessities. So animals and farms is a compound subject. Two subjects, one verb. All right, so go back and look those over. You might want to go back and look over chapter 13 one more time before you take the test. Remember, it is not open book, so do not use your book when you take the test. And don't forget to turn it in when you're finished. Thank you for working so hard on chapter 13, and thank you for watching all of these videos. And I'll see you next time as we move on to chapter 15. Have a great day.